Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Chris. Welcome to Oppo Education. This is the Oppo F5, the selfie expert. This phone has been around for a while, and the main emphasis from Oppo and their marketing team has been that front-facing camera. The 20 megapixel selfie camera with AI selfie enhancement to capture the real you. What? Sounds like an oxymoron to me, but I'll be getting back to that camera later. The design of the Oppo F5 is the most striking feature of this phone at first glance. The front is an 18:9 aspect ratio Gorilla Glass display. There are barely any bezels on the side, while the top and bottom bezels have shrunk considerably since its predecessor, the Oppo F3. Oppo clearly doesn't want to be left behind in the paradigm shift to bezel-less displays. It's a 78.1% screen-to-body ratio, which is great to see. The top bezel is home to the most hyped component of this flagship, the front-facing camera and the earpiece. There's also a pulse notification light somewhere at the top here, which you'll only see when there's a notification on your phone. There's really nothing in this extremely small bezel. This time Oppo went with the on-screen home, back and multitasking buttons. There's some kind of matte finish at the back, which makes this phone very comfy in the hands, especially given that it's very light, weighing in at 152 grams. But the matte finish obviously leaves some fingerprints, as you might probably see. There's a 16 megapixel camera at the back and an LED flash right next to it, and then the fingerprint sensor in the perfect position. There's an extra noise cancellation microphone at the top, then the speaker, a micro USB port, the main microphone, and thankfully a 3.5mm headphone socket are all at the bottom of the phone. This phone has the volume and the power buttons on the left and the right side respectively. There's also a chrome line that runs on the sides of the phone and on the antenna bands, which adds to the beauty of this phone. So full marks for the design and the build quality of this mid-range flagship. The phone is just so pretty and light and comfortable in the hand despite the long screen. Oh, did I mention the Oppo logo at the back of the phone just below the fingerprint sensor? It can be done. Look at that, Apple. It's so easy, and it's been done on a phone with the same form factor as the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 8. Moving on, the display panel is a 6-inch 1080 by 2160p LCD touchscreen. The colors and brightness are okay on this one, but I still find it hard to understand why they didn't go with an AMOLED display, especially considering this phone's price point, which I'll get back to in a while. Oppo moved from the 16:9 aspect ratio of the Oppo F3 to a new stretched out 18:9 aspect ratio display, or 2:1, I know my fractions. I have to admit this new aspect ratio makes the display taller and prettier. This Oppo video inside the phone demonstrates how awesome it looks. It's always fun when there's more screen to look at. The 18:9 aspect ratio display also gives you more space to work with apps, especially in the multi-window mode. The only problem is that some apps like YouTube will still use the 16:9 aspect ratio even when you put them in full screen. The general performance of this phone feels okay to me. Apps are running smoothly, multitasking is fine, it's snappy as you would expect from a phone with a MediaTek MT6763 chip, a Cortex A53 8-core processor and 4 gigs of RAM. I have to say the Mali G71 graphics processing unit is a major undoing for this phone, and you can notice some lag and frame loss when playing the resource and graphic intensive games. So this phone has 32 gigs of internal memory, expandable through a micro SD card up to 256 gigs, which is awesome. The fingerprint reader is one of my favorite features of this phone. The sensor is in the ideal position at the back of the phone, and you can register up to 2 fingers. I haven't seen a faster fingerprint reader on any smartphone this year. It's so quick and snappy, which is nice to see. The fingerprint reader can also be used to lock specific apps instead of using a password. So it's a dual SIM phone that accepts 2 GSM nano SIM cards in a SIM tray that also gives home to a micro SD card should you need one. And then you have the operating system. It's Oppo's ColorOS 3.2 running on top of Android 7.1.1 Nougat. It's not anything close to stock Android. At first I was thinking it's great that they have their own unique skin, and I was loving it at first during the unboxing, until I realized it looks so much like iOS interface. Like, what is going on here, Oppo? Look at that action center, look at the settings menu, and then the camera app. Everything looks like iOS. I mean, iOS is a wonderful operating system, but it has its shortcomings, and one of them is the notifications. And then Oppo went ahead and also copied the notification system from Apple, which is horrible. The notifications in this Oppo phone are a mess. Look at that, it doesn't group notifications from the same app together. Everything is just presented to you in a long, annoying list. Not cool. But if you can look past that, then you'll have enough time to look at probably the most hyped smartphone feature of all time, the Oppo F5 cameras. The backward facing camera is a 16 megapixel sensor with an f1.8 aperture lens. There's a slight camera bump at the back with a metal ring to protect the huge glass. A bigger glass lets in more light. The results of this are bright and more vivid photos taken by the Oppo F5. The photos are great even in low light conditions. I like the fact that the camera tries to take in as much light as possible to make your photos brighter. The bokeh effect can be achieved with the subject close, but it kinda looks artificial to me and not very impressive compared to other smartphones in this price range. There is also a 2x zoom option, which I strongly don't recommend because it's digital zoom, and digital zoom is just fake zoom. Everybody knows that. Autofocus is fast, which is good news, especially if you want to record videos. There are also a few filters and watermarks in the camera app for you to use. There's nothing too fancy about the backward facing camera. It's a fairly good camera. This camera also records videos in 1080p, but for some reason they don't look sharp enough. Both cameras are also not optically stabilized. The front facing camera, which makes this phone the Oppo F5, the selfie expert, is a 20 megapixel sensor with f2.0 aperture. It's meant to put your best face forward. Get it? Best face forward? Okay. Anyway, the front facing camera in the Oppo F5 is designed to concentrate on your face and enhance the selfies you take with AI beautification technology. So basically, when you prepare to take a selfie, the camera detects your face and uses artificial intelligence to determine whether you're a man, a woman, old, young, and then applies the correct kind of transformation to bring out the best version of your selfie. There's also a beauty mode, which attempts to soften and smoothen your face before you take your selfie. Personally, I'm not a fan of enhanced photos. There's also a depth effect mode, which seems to be Oppo's version of portrait mode. It uses AI to determine the difference in depth, bring everything in the foreground into focus, and blur everything in the background. It works, but it's just not that good. The blur in the background looks so weird and artificial, and the edges too, they don't look too sharp. I actually find the camera much better without any of these enhancements. So the Oppo F5 also has Face ID, which uses the same front-facing camera. The setup process isn't the best in the world, it's not the fastest, it's not the most intuitive, but once you pass that and you've set it up, it's the fastest Face ID you'll ever see. It's even faster than the iPhone X Face ID, although it uses a different technology from the iPhone. It's still really fast and snappy. The problem is it doesn't work when you're in low light conditions. It will not work when there's a lot of light behind you, and given that it uses the front-facing camera, it's probably not the best security feature you can have on your phone. Even Oppo acknowledges that in the setup page. I actually tried to trick this phone's Face ID with twins, and it failed the test on the first attempt, so you better use that fingerprint sensor on that phone. So everything I've discussed is being powered by a 3200 mAh lithium-ion battery. It's a non-removable battery with no fast charging and no wireless charging. I still find it hard to justify the pricing of this phone, given that there are a lot of other phones in this price bracket that are doing bigger things, that are doing things faster, with better cameras, with better processors, better chips, and more internal memory. But like I always say, at this point, it's your personal choice. Anyway, that's it from me. Leave your comments and questions in the comments section below this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys soon.